Thanks everybody for checking out my video. You're about to watch my interview with Miss Anna Franklin, candidate for Morgan County Sheriff. I asked her some questions that I wanted to know the answers to, and I felt like a lot of Morgan County wanted to know the answers to, and she had no problem answering any of them. So she even wants to do another video and answer questions that I know that we'll be getting in these comments. So the next video, we'll read some comments and I'll ask her some of the questions that are in the comments. And maybe you guys, will get some of your questions answered. And also, I apologize for the video cutting off so abruptly. We had some video problems at the end of the footage and I couldn't salvage it. So we did the best we could. Like I said, we're going to do another video, so you guys should be able to get some more questions answered, and we'll get more footage then. Also, please go check out my other channel. The name of it is Redneck Shooter. It's all about guns. I think you guys will love it. Thanks. Hey Anna, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, I appreciate you joining us on Talking Local TV. Um, I got a few questions for you. I think a lot of people would like to hear the answers to.
Okay.
You want to answer a few questions?
I would be glad to answer
Okay.
questions.
All righty. I guess the first one I'll ask, what happened during your last term at sheriff? What happened with the investigations?
So the investigations are all finished now. It took a
Mhm.
long time for us to get to this point because we worked through all of the steps in all of the court cases. Um, those allegations and investigations were truly spurred on, most people don't know this, by only a few people.
Mhm.
And those few people um, were able to create a lot of misinformation and put out a lot of allegations and accusations of things that eventually um, caused lawsuits and criminal allegations and those kind of things. And the outcome of it was no arrest, no indictment, no charges were filed, and I'm not convicted of any of those things. Those things were um, thoroughly investigated by multiple agencies. And after about 4 years and grand juries assembled on both the federal side and the state side to investigate all of these allegations that were raised in both civil cases by these people as well as criminal indications. They wanted to um, find out if those things had happened. They were criminal elements to that. If I had done those things that were alleged, they would be criminal charges filed. So those allegations, and a lot of people have heard numerous things that I was alleged to have done, were all investigated, presented to grand juries, and I was never arrested, indicted, or charged with any of those things. I was cleared of those things.
Well, that answers the question for me. Me and many other people in Morgan County. I guess I'll just go ahead and ask you. So, all of the FBI allegations, you were completely innocent of all of it.
That's correct. Exhaustive investigations by multiple agencies on multiple accusations of things ranging from um, DOJ on mistreatment and mishandling of inmates and not feeding them correctly, all the way to embezzlement and just on and on and on, mishandling of funds and everything that you can imagine. Um, they looked at because I was accused of, and it was all of that was cleared. It was investigated and was presented to federal grand jury, and there was never any indictments handed down or any charges filed on any of those things.
I guess another question I have: what does it mean? You said that you were never indicted,
Hmm.
so I guess, as far as what I know, that means that there wasn't enough evidence to even charge you with anything.
That's correct.
But
So
okay.
a grand jury is a finder of truth, a finder of facts, and they make the decision once evidence is presented to them. They make a decision of whether there's enough evidence probable cause to move forward with charges to be filed and a court case to happen. And then you get a jury trial and they decide the ultimate, they're the ultimate trier of facts. But a grand jury is like a pre-jury. And so evidence of all of this garbage allegations that have been floating around on the internet and the media and all the things over the last however long, all of those things were presented to grand juries. And all of those things, I was never charged with anything. It never even reached the point that charges were filed and they said you should go to court. So I was cleared. So the indictment, no indictment means that a grand jury did not find enough evidence that even a crime had been committed or that I was the person that committed that.
To me, in my mind, I would think it would be easier to just sit on the sideline and not run for sheriff. That's me. But I guess my next question is, what made you run again?
Yeah. So my kids ask me the same thing. Why in the world? I have people ask me that. Why in the world do you want to do this again? And I was sitting on the sidelines, and I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
I retired. I draw my retirement. I have a great job. I teach jail policy, and I help audit jails across the country that are in potentially bad shape, that need help on changing the way that they operate their jails, similar to what Morgan County was when I came. I help provide medical and mental health to inmates across the country. And so I have learned a lot, more than even I knew when I left. I thought I had deep dive, into jail operations for that 8 years and the consent decree and all of the things that went on while I was there. But I've learned a lot and made a lot of new connections in the jail industry. And I'm pretty happy. Nobody's been ugly to me for a while.
Yeah.
They like the folks that I work with are kind and they're very professional and they appreciate having me there and they make me feel good about where I'm at. That wasn't also the case when you're the sheriff of the county. And
Right.
politics and law enforcement are not people's favorite folks, right? So they're
Right.
not always great to you. But I love this county and I love what it means to be sheriff and to try and do the right thing for people. I think there is a need for very strong leadership and to be able to stand up to things when it's tough. And I've had a lot of standing up to things over the toughness over the last decade or so. I kept getting phone calls over the last year or so, especially the last year when many people found out that our case had completed and I was not found guilty of anything, and that we had won the case against the IRS that I took. So once that kind of completed, people started asking me, was I going to run again? And for a long time, I said, no, I have no, inclination to run for sheriff again. I'm pretty done with politics in general. But I kept hearing so many concerning things by people about the state of the jail and the road and the crime rate being up and the problems that are going on there that many, many people don't know about, but that made me spur into, let me look into that and let me see if that's really true. Because having been done that way before, right? Having had lots of allegations against me and my office and what folks said happened there, I don't really take things to face value anymore.
Right.
I
Right.
really give people the benefit of the doubt, and I pretty much don't believe anything I hear anymore.
Right.
But more and more overwhelmingly, and as I started, really looking into some of the allegations and situations that I was hearing about, I found that a lot of them were absolutely true, and there were some issues that were truly concerning to me. the numbers of deaths in the jail, the number of overdoses in the jail, the numbers of inmate assaults, inmate to inmate and inmate to officer. Some of those people that work there were like family to me.
Mm-hmm.
They were still working there now when I was there, and to see their pictures, come across the news as being brutally assaulted by inmates and not understanding how this could happen in the facility the way I left it.
Right.
Not repeatedly. You could have a fluke, you could have a very violent person that were in there and something could happen. It's part of the dangerous life of a corrections officer or a law enforcement officer. You risk your life every day when you go to work.
Right.
But this should not be a repeated occurrence that we're going on, and especially the level of brutality that some of these assaults were. And so I was hearing about inmate sexual assaults, escapes that were going on, just really concerning things that I knew should not be going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they had 2 physical escapes from that facility, not walk-offs from a job somewhere or a trustee that, went to his mama's house. They had plenty of those too. But I'm talking about physically getting out and escaping from the jail, the secure facility of the jail. And as we're sitting here tonight and discussing some of this thing, I just got, notice that somebody has reported that a corrections officer was bringing their 7-year-old child to jail to work with them in the secure part of the location. Not an investigator that is in the office somewhere. A corrections officer, a detention deputy that works inside the facility of the jail was actually bringing her child to work. And that's atrocious enough and concerning enough. I know what goes on inside of jail. That is no place for a child to be. We couldn't even put juveniles per law in that jail, right? So what's even more concerning about that is that the reporter, person that reported this, said that they spoke eventually to the sheriff. It took them months to be able to get an appointment with the sheriff. And they spoke eventually to the sheriff. And the sheriff said they could not guarantee it wouldn't happen again. And that routinely people brought their kids to work. Now, I don't even know how you routinely bring your kids to work at Walmart, but you do not routinely bring your child to work inside the secure facility of a jail.
Right.
I can't even fathom that. Last week, I spoke with someone at a homeless shelter here that told me, and I've confirmed this to be a practice and part of the policy, that after 7 days, the inmates' clothing and all of their personal belongings are either picked up by family members that they allow or disposed of or donated. So people are leaving the jail when they are discharged and they are bonded out. If they're there more than 7 days, they leave in a white Tyvek paper suit.
Wow.
And this occurred in January. And our coldest time of the year, inmates were walking without a phone, without a driver's license, without any ID, without their debit cards or credit cards, without their wallets, without their clothing, and they were walking through downtown Decatur trying to get to a homeless shelter to just get a pair of pants.
Mm.
Now, to me, this is a gross violation of, I don't know how many civil rights we can talk about. And I understand it's policy and it's practice, but I don't know anybody that would think that's okay.
Right.
And so again, I thought, okay, the sheriff can't possibly know about this.
Mm-hmm.
But the sheriff was questioned about it. According to the person that operates the homeless shelter, the sheriff was questioned about this. And the sheriff said that it's cheaper to get Tyvek suits for 87 cents than to get clothing. Homeless, we didn't do it that way.
Right.
We did not do that.
Right.
And he mentioned that there wasn't enough storage for all of the clothing and personal items, so they had to get rid of it, and I understand that to some extent, but we managed to make that work.
Right.
Folks got a property bag. They had their the only time somebody did not have their property stored in a property bag is there a biohazard reason or meth contamination, that kind of thing. We had a lot of people that got deconned and their clothes and all their belongings would had to be discarded because they were, had chemical contaminants on it. But then we got those charitable organizations worked with us, and they gave them new clothes that we kept on hand at the sheriff's office. And so I can't imagine anybody being forced to leave a confined facility and walking in the middle of the night in sub-freezing temperatures and trying to find somebody that would help them.
Thank you, Anna Franklin, for the video. Everyone, be on the lookout for our next video, approximately 2 to 3 weeks.